Dr. Celine Viathari of the Luminari Collective had lived a life of calculated expectations. As a xenoneurologist working aboard the Astral Haven Orbital Research Hospital, she had raised her daughter, Eli, with the same meticulous care she applied to every experiment. Luminari children were fragile, their crystalline nervous systems easily disrupted by foreign environments, and so Celine planned everything, from the filtered light in their quarters to the nutrient mixture of Eli's meals. Yet even with all that precision, Eli had been born blind. Not physically. Her eyes, large and opalescent like all Luminari, were perfectly formed. But she could not orient herself, could not follow motion, could not navigate even familiar rooms without stumbling. Every specialist the collective had, every neural scanner they possessed, had examined her. And all of them gave the same verdict. Visual cortex inactive. Likely congenital. Irreversible. Celine accepted that diagnosis, not because she wanted to, but because she feared false hope more than she feared the truth. And so she built her daughter a world of soft walls and gentle guidance. She never imagined the truth would be exposed by a human janitor, a man the station barely noticed, or that his discovery would change everything. Beginning, the janitor with too much heart. Elias Harmon never expected his life to be interstellar. He had joined the station maintenance crew for the simplest reason: benefits. As a widowed father raising his 12-year-old son, Max, he needed a steady job after Earth's collapse of blue-collar industries. The Astral Haven may have been far from home, but the pay was good, and the hours allowed him to be there when Max needed him. Most of Elias's day involved cleaning lumen crystal floors, scrubbing medical bays, and occasionally being yelled at by a few too self-important researchers who thought a mop was beneath their awareness. But Elias didn't mind. He treated everyone with the same steady friendliness: scientists, patients, even the Luminari nobles with their shimmering translucent bodies. And that included Dr. Celine's daughter. He first saw Eli in the East Garden Dome, sitting quietly beside one of the bioluminescent fountains. She tapped her hands lightly on the ground, feeling for vibrations, her gaze unfocused, drifting. Max, who had inherited his father's complete inability to ignore someone sad, approached her first. "Hi," Max said softly. "I'm Maximum. What's your name?" Eli startled at the voice, her head lifting. "Eli," she replied, voice musical but unsure. "I don't know where you are." Max glanced at his father, confused. Elias recognized it immediately. Blindness. He knelt down beside her so she'd at least hear someone close. "Well, Eli," Elias said, gentle and warm. "I'm Elias. I fix things around here. If you ever need help, you just call for me, okay?" Her face lit with a fragile, uncertain hope. "Okay," she whispered. Celine arrived seconds later, rushing in with fear in her usually calm expression. "Eli, you wandered again," she turned to Elias. "I apologize. Her condition makes unsupervised areas dangerous." Elias raised his hands placatingly. "She wasn't in trouble. Me and Max were just saying hi." Celine nodded stiffly, embarrassed. "Yes, well, I appreciate the kindness. But she is blind. There is little she can." Eli flinched at the word blind. Elias noticed. Celine didn't. Elias didn't push it. Not yet. But he had seen something in Eli's eyes that bothered him. Blind children didn't track light. But when Max waved, A faint shimmer passed across Eli's pupils, almost like they were reacting to something unseen. He brushed it off. He wasn't a doctor, but he was good at fixing broken things. Middle. The discovery no one expected. It took 2 weeks before Elias noticed the real clue. He was repairing a broken console in one of the bioluminescent hallways when Eli wandered by, guided by Celine's hand. The overhead lights were malfunctioning, flickering chaotically, some glowing too bright, others fading in and out. Each time they flickered, Eli's head snapped toward them. Not like a blind person startled by noise. Like someone sensing something directly. Elias watched carefully. Dr. Viathari. Does the flickering bother her? Celine shook her head. She cannot perceive light. But Eli was reacting. Not to visible spectrum changes. To something else. A few days later, Elias found Max showing Eli his drawing pad. Max would describe what he drew, and Eli would smile, imagining the image. But then Max switched on a tiny device, one of Elias's diagnostic tools, emitting a faint pulse of electromagnetic radiation. Eli gasped. She turned her head precisely toward it. Elias froze. Eli, can you hear that? He asked. She shook her head. No. But, it's bright. Celine, who had been reviewing a datapad, glanced up sharply. Eli, that is impossible. Humans use crude instruments. They emit nothing in our visible spectrum. Eli pressed her hands to her temples. It's too much. Like someone is shining a star through my head. Elias clicked the tool off. Eli sagged in relief. Celine stiffened, confused. What exactly did you activate? A field calibrator, Elias replied slowly. It emits low-frequency EM pulses. Humans can't see or hear them. Celine's crystalline skin flickered with alarm. But Eli can. Eli shivered. It burns. Elias knelt beside her. Sweetheart, I don't think you're blind. Celine bristled immediately. Janitor or not, you cannot diagnose my. I think, Elias said softly, she's seeing on a different wavelength. Silence fell. Max whispered, alien supervision. Elias continued cautiously. Her cortex might not respond to visible light. But maybe, it's hypersensitive to electromagnetic spikes. Celine's eyes widened. Her mind, trained for years in xenosensory neurobiology, began racing. If her optic nerves transduce EM fields instead of photons, she murmured, then she wouldn't see objects, but energies. Patterns. Fluxes in electromagnetic space. Eli nodded slowly. I see shapes, but not like yours. Everything is lines, currents, like rivers of brightness. Elias swallowed. She wasn't blind. She was overloaded. Celine felt her world tilt. Every model, every test, every scan, they had all focused on the wrong spectrum. Eli's brain wasn't broken. It was different. Max burst with excitement. She's like a sensor. Like a living scanner. Eli giggled, delighted. Celine, however, trembled, equal parts awe and guilt. She had spent years guiding her daughter through darkness, when the child had been drowning in light no one else could see. We must test this, Celine whispered. Immediately. Elias shook his head firmly. No. Slowly. Gently. She's been overstimulated her whole life. You push too fast, she'll burn out. Celine stared at him. A janitor telling a luminary neuroscientist how to treat her own daughter. But she wasn't angry. She was grateful. Elias Harmon, she said softly, I believe you may have just changed my daughter's life. The training, a human method for an alien child. They began carefully. Elias and Max helped design simple exercises based on human sensory therapy, gradual exposure, controlled environments, play-based exploration. Celine adapted them with luminary tech, creating holographic fields that pulsed at Eli's visual frequency. For the first time, Eli navigated a room without help. For the first time, she reached for a glowing luminary orb and caught it. For the first time, she laughed freely, not cautiously, not quietly, but bright and pure. Celine watched every breakthrough with watery eyes. I thought she was helpless, she admitted one evening as they monitored Eli's progress. I thought she needed a small world. But that world was hurting her. Elias gave a gentle half-smile. Being different ain't the same as being broken. Max added proudly, my dad fixes things. Even when they're people. Celine looked at Elias with an expression he couldn't fully read. Respect. Gratitude. And something warmer. The threat. When a gift became a weapon. Just as Eli began thriving, disaster struck. A power surge hit the station, an overload from the plasma conduits. Luminari couldn't see it coming. Humans couldn't either. But Eli saw it instantly. She screamed, a sharp, terrified cry. The energy, it's tearing. The conduits burst. Fire ripped through the corridor. Eli collapsed, overwhelmed by the blinding flare of electromagnetic agony. Max grabbed her, shielding her with his own small body. Dad, he yelled. She's going to pass out. Elias acted on instinct. He lunged toward the emergency suppression panel, sparking, half destroyed, and jammed a metal bar into the flooded interface, redirecting the surge. It shocked him brutally, but it worked. The conduits shut down. Emergency foam flooded the hallway. Eli gasped for breath, clutching Max. Celine rushed in, voice shaking. Eli! Max! Elias! Elias staggered back, smoke rising from his uniform. Systems stable. She saw the surge before any sensors did. Celine stared at him, horrified and awed. A janitor just prevented a catastrophic breach, she whispered. Eli tugged at her mother's sleeve. Mom! Max and Elias saved me. She looked at the human father and son with glowing admiration. And I saw everything, she whispered. Everything. Ending. The family they never expected. It took weeks for the station to recover from the damage. It took less for Celine to realize something essential. Eli didn't flourish because of the training. She flourished because of them. Elias's grounding gentleness. Max's easy friendship. A sense of normalcy she couldn't get from sterile laboratories or clinical diagnostics. One day, Celine approached Elias as he repaired a ceiling panel in the garden dome, the same place they'd first met. She sees patterns everywhere now, Celine said softly. Energy webs. Life currents. She understands her world in a way none of us can. Elias nodded. She's special. Celine exhaled slowly. Elias, would you and Max consider spending more time with her? Not as therapists. As. She hesitated. Family. Elias blinked in surprise. Are you asking me out, Doctor? Celine laughed, a musical, crystalline sound rarely heard. Yes, Elias Harmon. I suppose. I am. From behind them, Eli shouted joyfully, Dad Elias and Mom Celine. Max and me get 2 parents. Celine turned bright violet with embarrassment. Elias burst into laughter, but neither corrected her. Because maybe, just maybe, Eli was seeing something else invisible to ordinary eyes. A future. A family built not by species, not by biology, but by small kindnesses that changed the universe for one little girl. And in the vast, cold expanse of space, that was something brighter than any star Eli could see.